Huge thanks to Capcom for the opportunity to review Sunbreak for you guys ahead of the release. We played the game over 100 hours already, so it is the perfect time to discuss Sunbreak. This review discussion will be spoiler free, meaning we will only talk about monsters that have already been published by Capcom within official Sunbreak trailers. We will not spoil story details either. But if you haven't seen any trailers from Capcom yet and want to play Sunbreak 100% blind, you might want to tune out now or just listen to the review in the background. Also a quick shout out to our friends from Arekkz Gaming. We took inspiration from their review discussion for this video. What's up guys, Chris here today with the team.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
And we will be doing a Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak review discussion, a little bit from the perspective of a speedrunner. Lean back and relax, and let's start with the first thing we want to talk about, which is new monsters in Sunbreak. Overall, we do have a little bit less monsters in Sunbreak compared to Iceborne. So even if we don't count the title updates, then we have less returning subspecies, we have one less returning monster, we have a lot of less new subspecies. So overall, we have the same amount of new monsters in Sunbreak compared to Iceborne, but in every other category, Iceborne actually seemed a little bit stronger in terms of how much content it has here. How do you guys feel about the variety, for example, in subspecies? I feel there were so many subspecies in Iceborne, you know, like Fulgur Anjanath, Acidic Lavanus, Ebony Dogoron, Seething Basil, Black Veil, Runa Nergigante, and just to name a few of them, and there isn't really that much interesting stuff here.
Definitely. There are some monsters that you have in the game that you would expect to see their subspecies in there, but they simply don't have them.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd.
Like something like Black Diablos at the very least, or like Green Nargacuga, but you don't really get to see.
Same with Azure Rathalos and Pink Rathian.
But screw those, man. I hate those monsters.
I mean, I was expecting to get Golden Rathian and Silver Rathalos in Sunbreak.
Yeah, at the very least, right?
Yeah. It feels a bit odd that we don't get them.
I would say that the quality of the monster we got is pretty high, especially compared to base Rise. But in terms of quantity, the roster could be bigger.
Yes, but we do have to add that all of the returning monsters from Rise that now only have a Master Rank upgrade, they did get a lot of new moves. So most of these fights do feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
I can recall really every single monster basically having one or two new moves.
Yes, definitely.
Kezu, I don't know about you guys, but Kezu was the one that really surprised me. It was just stretching its head and like spewing electric bolts everywhere, and I was like, oh wow. They really change up how you fight them, and they have like trick up their sleeve that will make you like think twice, like, oh, a double attack here, or oh, it does this differently, so I have to adapt now.
How do you guys feel about the difficulty of the monsters compared to Rise?
They hit hard, man. They hit so hard, and they're really tanky.
I feel like they definitely took the difficulty complaints of base Rise more seriously in Sunbreak. Monsters hit harder, and they also have moves that are harder to deal with, I would say. So it's definitely, the challenge is there, and I think people will like that.
Yeah, I agree with Deus. I think that the challenge is there, absolutely, but one thing that I don't really like, it's the amount of tracking that monsters have in general. Like, there are some moves, I don't know, guys, if you remember, Tetranodon has the pin, the new one, which is incredible. Like, it tracks you, it almost turns for 180 degrees, like, it's crazy when he has to pin you.
That's a good point that you bring up. Tracking is part of why it's also harder, because these monsters, like, they track you very late into the animation, so you have to adjust to that. Can be a bit of annoying, but overall, I'm kind of fine with it.
I think it's fine because we have Warbug, so the hunter itself is really fast. We have a lot of new switch skills, and also most of the weapons nowadays have counters, so we don't feel that tracking too much heavy anymore.
Because it's like balanced around the new counters and stuff.
Yeah, monsters also need to hit you, so I think that's also a thing, because, you know, ever since Monster Hunter World, hunters are, you know, more agile, mobile, and with Wirebug, like you said, it kind of makes sense to have monsters being more precise with their attacks.
Yeah, otherwise the hunter is too OP. Yeah.
The monsters became faster, they hit hard in Master Rank. And as you said, we do have a lot of new features on the Hunter side of things. We have new switch skills. We have the new switch skill swap. How do you guys feel about the new switch skill swap in particular? Because I think it is actually great because it allows for a lot more possibilities to have different hunts, because you have way more features or different moves available in one hunt. But the problem is it's insanely complex. And even somebody that's playing Monster Hunter for such a long time, and even if I've played a lot, and to this day, I'm not like 100% like comfortable with it yet even. I don't know, how do you guys feel about this after playing for about 100 hours? Are you guys completely comfortable with the new switch skill swap at this point?
Well, not yet. I have to say that at the beginning it was extremely complicated for me. Since I'm playing Longsword, I kind of was forced to use it because I need to get access to the other switch skills on the other side, on the blue switch skill scroll. So at the beginning was really complicated and I didn't enjoy a lot. I have to say that at some point I even gave up and I try not to use it anymore. Just use the red switch skill scroll, and that's it. But I think that the more I played, I get used to it. But even now, I'm not fully convinced. Like I'm not fully got used to it.
Yeah, so like even like some of the top speedrunners, I don't know how it's for Deos and HC, but I cannot see somebody that just gets into the series be comfortable with that. There's no way.
It's very overwhelming. Now, I would say that from my perspective, for sure, because I mostly play Greatsword and Hunting Horn. For these two, like the good answers are more clear cut. So I don't really swap that much. So it's more like, okay, I'm in this situation. Now I want to swap to get access to, for example, Adamant Charge Slash takes the same spot as the Strong Arm Stance, which is the counter for the Greatsword. So say I knock down the monster and it falls really far away, I can quickly swap there and use Adamant Charge Slash to cover some distance. So it feels better now, but it's very hard to get the hang of it at the start. Like it's very overwhelming.
Yeah, I guess it also depends on the weapon you're using, because I think different weapons have different balance in the switch skills pool. So, for example, with Longsword, you wanna use as many switch skills you can, because there is, for example, Sakura Slash, which raises your spirit gauge, and then there is Helmbreaker, which drops you. So it's like you wanna use both, and so you are forced to use both the red switch skill scroll and the blue one. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel.
I see. From what I saw from the gameplay, Longsword does a lot more swapping around than some other weapons.
Exactly. I have this feeling.
Yeah,
and it looks way more like more varied now, instead of just like spamming EI slash and like Helmbreaker all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This mechanic
it's so much more refreshing.
CB is also an interesting one, actually. I don't know how you feel about it, because I like how now you get to use counter peak performance and axe oper when you have an opening.
It's so cracked. It's really cool. Cracked. Like, dude. Like I probably use, like, maybe from what I hear from you guys, I probably use the switch swap the most in the team right now, and it's really a good godsend for like CB. I find the skill swap to be pretty comfortable for me at this point. I know when to use it, maybe because like I love to like know when to sequence stuff, when do I like use things in specific situations and stuff. I think it adds a lot more depth to the game.
Exactly, it adds this extra layer. So that is actually really cool when you basically use counter peak to get your files loaded, and then you switch into axe hopper, and then you just dash the entire damage. Like it's really cool. But for newcomers, to be honest, it might be tricky, right?
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of new content, like one big thing, of course, to talk about is the new maps. We have 2 new maps in the game. One of them, the jungle, was already playable in the demo. A returning map from the 2nd generation of Monster Hunter was first debuted in, I think, 2008. And now with the new graphics, without the loading screens between the areas, how did you feel about the jungle in the game?
It's honestly a great
nostalgic.
map.
So nostalgic, man.
for me, it's not that nostalgic because I started with Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. So I did get to play Freedom Unite and the second gen games a bit later, but I didn't start with them. So it doesn't hold that much nostalgia value for me.
For me, it's different.
Wow, really? Yeah. Okay. Sure, HC, sure. But I have to say...
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, don't worry, man. Don't worry. I have to say, one thing that I really love about these new maps, or bringing old maps, is that now we get to explore some areas that we never could before. Like, for example, in the Flooded Forest, back in 3 Ultimate and Tri, you always saw the pyramid in the distance, but you could never get there. Now you can. And the same thing is true in the jungle with this underground temple. I just loved going in there. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but it's great.
Yes, I'm a second gen lover, and I was so excited to try the new jungle, the remake of Jungle from Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. It was an incredible feeling. There are many locations, places where they are basically the same, but the thing is that now with the wire bug, you can wall run on these walls. You can go on top of them. It's really cool. It feels really refreshing, and I really like it.
Yep.
How do you guys feel about the Citadel map in comparison to the jungle?
Honestly, I would say between the two, I prefer the Citadel. It's because it has a lot of varied locales. You have this icy area. You also have the swamps. It kind of feels like it comes straight out of Elden Ring. But like it's very varied, and also like Peppo said, with the use of Wirebug, you get to explore it and go in places that you would never expect before. It's fun to explore, and it's really cool, in my opinion.
I feel like a little bit different. I think the jungle, at least for the gameplay point of view, it's better because the areas, like the fighting areas, are like the ground is more regular, and there aren't so many ledges in the jungle. While I think in the Citadel there are more slopes. And some
that's
areas
a very speedrunner point of view. I don't think anybody really cares.
It's very
but that impacts the gameplay experience, to be honest.
Yeah, I also dislike ledges heavily because of Monster Hunter 4U. So I get you.
Yeah.
But like, bro, there's so many Vesports and Bullfango in the jungle.
Oh, please, don't get me started on the small monsters. Never finish.
Oh my god. Oh man.
Yeah, but
at the very least, Citadel has less small monsters.
How do you guys feel about the new village? Elgato has a little bit of a different style approach. We did have this kind of Japanese style in a Rise base game with Komura, and now in Elgato it's more like a Western kind of feeling to it with a cool castle ruin. I personally really like how the new village is. We don't really have this gathering hub anymore that we had in the base game. Instead of that, it's like a huge open area. You kind of get to just be in the full village with your friends when you play online with them. It's not going to be the case anymore that kind of everybody is just sitting in that gathering hub area, that small one. So it kind of there's a bigger area basically to be in with your friends. I really like the feeling of that.
I definitely do agree. I love the contrast too, like, Japanese into like a bit more like Western or like steampunk like kind of feel, because all the machines everywhere.
There are little sections of the map that you can discover where you can go, and then when you go there the first time, you're like, oh my god, I didn't know I can even go here, and then it's kind of cool,
Definitely, and the music is really nice to listen
the music
to in Elgato.
Yeah.
I just found myself many instances just sitting there, like doing my stuff and listening to it. It's great. I like the feeling of the place. You can also change the music you listen to in these areas. It's one of the things you can do in your room. You can customize the music in different places. So if you get sick of something, you can swap it for something else, for example.
Yeah, exactly. You can always change the BGM in your room. Yeah.
Kind of a win-win if you ask me.
Of course, the main story of the game takes place in Elgato. I personally really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the cutscenes. I think the cutscenes are amazing. I think the story is super epic, especially towards the end with the final boss. I was just super blown away. I think this is a lot better for me. It was a lot more epic compared to Rise base game.
Yeah, like the story is like a lot better. I feel like I actually like the characters more. By the way, Fiorine, best waifu in the MH series.
Ew, oh god.
Come on.
Oh god, you said the word.
She is so good. She's so great.
So basically, Basically, this time you get to go on quests called follower quests and bring different NPCs from the village Elgato with you on the hunt, Furain being one of them. How did you guys like these follower quests?
It's pretty cool, actually. I mean, for the most part, the AI is pretty competent, when it's not like putting bombs everywhere. And you just feel nice to play with these NPCs. I've always wanted to like interact more with the NPCs in the game. I don't know if you guys remember Jen Moran in Tri and Ryu.
Yeah, of course.
But in the cutscene, you have this ship, with all these people on them. And as soon as it cuts to you fighting, everyone is gone. I've always found that weird. But now playing with these NPCs, it's really cool. And you mentioned Furain, for example, in the story. Having these NPCs tied to the story and doing many quests with them, it makes them feel more, close to us. And I like that.
One of our biggest complaints with Rise base game was the clutterness of the screen, especially in a 4-player multiplayer scenario. Everybody's slashing on the monster with the Palamutes joining the fight. The screen could get really messy, really chaotic, really fast. How do you guys feel about the new hit effects feature?
It was a blessing.
Really good.
Yep.
Hands down. It's incredibly useful. I immediately, as soon as I started, I put the option at 25%. It's really good. The hit effect displayed now on 25% you can actually watch the monster when you are hitting him. You are not distracted by any other weird effects from you or for your Palamute or from your Polygon other players. So it really feels great to me.
And finally, endgame. Is there a great endgame in this game? How is the endgame compared to Monster Hunter Rise base game? Also, how is it compared to Iceborne? Do you guys like it? How is it for you?
Well, without going into the details too much, I have to say that honestly, I think it's better than Rise base game, as there is more variety. That's how I feel. I don't think it's a spoiler, but you can craft more stuff at the end game, and that makes better the experience overall.
Iceborne's investigation system is still way better. Like, although this end game here is a lot better than base Rise for sure, but some specific like monsters don't really feel that great to fight, to be honest.
More on the tanky side, you could say.
Yeah, way too tanky. Without going to spoilers, they're just way too tanky. Honestly, it feels so dragged out.
Yeah, it feels like it's artificial difficulty, right?
Yeah, when it comes to like how bloated the HP value can feel for some of the monsters. Yeah.
Yes.
But there is definitely an end game to explore. There's a lot of grinding and farming to do.
Absolutely.
We're not going to touch on the details. You guys can explore that for yourself. But yeah, overall, a very well-designed expansion that expands Rise base game. The thing is, we would have wished to see a little bit more monsters. Let's wait and see what they're going to be doing with the title updates. We had, I think, 6 different monsters releasing with title updates in Iceborne. Now, let's see what the Sunbreak expansion has in store for us in the future. We already have 1 monster announced. And more coming, hopefully. But yeah, overall, guys, how's the fun factor compared to Rise base game?
Honestly, I had a blast. I think this is like a really fun experience, especially progressing through the story. Really solid.
Yeah, it was so cathartic to finish the story, like legit. It was so cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied because during my master rank progression, I felt like a challenge. It wasn't easy, cheesy, and anything like that. So I really appreciate that.
Cool, yeah. So huge thanks to Capcom for giving us this opportunity to check out the game a little bit earlier, make this review for you guys, and a lot of other cool content on the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this first review discussion video. Shout out to Arekkz as well. This idea was originally coming from him and his team. Fantastic idea that they had, and us being a team, we wanted to try that out for ourselves. Let us know how it was for you guys. Of course, there's a lot of areas that we can improve, and we will whenever we do this the next time. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, guys.